Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, featuring today a 1 vs 1 on wrecked trains. Yes, indeed, wrecked trains, and we shall be watching Gopepsilive versus Baoliang. Already, looks like Baoliang is trying some mental mind games, sort of trying to, of course, be a bit passive-aggressive, sort of saying, "Oh, you'll just go this and this. Oh, how unfair," or something like this. Some mental mind games initially, trying to pretend he's already ahead of Pepsi, just a guess. So, being a bit of a twerp right there initially. Nonetheless, Baoliang fighting for the 7th Armored Division, opposing MCLB Gopepsilive of the 1st SS Panzerdivision Leibstandarte. And starting out with a 4 Pioneer start. Going to go straight for the click backs and probably get some grenadiers. Rather common strategy used against the British, not why go for. But again, it works for some players, so more power to them. Headquarters command, and of course, we do see that the munitions point here is the starting point. And of course, what does this mean? It means he's going to be focused heavily on his infantry, because again, otherwise, he would not be targeting all that munitions. Again, he needs munitions so he can get all the upgrades he wants for his infantry. So again, already there within the initial minutes of the game, and of course, if Pepsi notices, of course, we can also sort of figure out what is Baoliang's sort of initial plan. That's a bit rare. You normally can't do that with other players, but again, when the British players, of course, do, you can also then sort of take the measures, because otherwise, if you don't, you risk getting rather severely beaten up. Points are being secure, munitions, fuel. Skirmish phase on the way. Recce section on the move. Going in for the cutoff point there, rather ungunned. Of course, that's one of the ways to sort of counter this sort of strategy. That is, in fact, going for the cutoff point, because initially, while the Wehrmacht player is able, in fact, he's gone for a 5 Pioneers, that's me, but while the Wehrmacht player can initially seize a lot more territory, on the other hand, he can't really defend it. Of course, this also rather requires that Baoliang actually goes for the resource over here, because that's going to be more resources than over here. But still, he's cut on some of it from the 1st SS. Points being taken away. That is good, although definitely also a bit of harassment right there from Pepsi in return, going for the munitions as well. Yeah, to sort of try and starve Baoliang initially, although again, he actually needs to have this connected first before he can take advantage of it. But going in there for the point. Bren carry up, initially some troops in it. Why I won't be able to stop that. Pioneer squad spotted and ignored. Probably going for the cutoff point there to sort of deny Pepsi initial fuel. Pepsi actually flown quite a few resources. In fact, in this spot, Baoliang could in fact drive straight into the base of Pepsi and basically just dig down a trench and make it pretty much impossible for Pepsi to actually build anything in it. But Baoliang is not quite that aggressive, so that's not happening, and I'm sure Pepsi is quite pleased about that. Pioneers coming out of the front, but there we go. The Kriegbergs is on the way. Pioneers. Oh, Vickers up as well. Pioneers taking some rather nasty damage there. The fuel point disconnected. A 3rd infantry section out. Again, no surprises there. Again, a rather heavy initial tier. Lots of infantry. Lots of other goodies. And the Kriegbergs is up. We probably will be seeing the half-track out soon. He just needs the fuel. Brenke, in the meanwhile, is on a mission of destruction and havoc, armed with Brens and Vickers. Pioneer sort of trying to hide from the Bren carrier. Half-track is on the way. The Schützenpanzerwagen, mittlere, more specifically, with the more common of the 2 half-tracks. And oh dear, the Pioneers ran right in front and got murdered. That was a bit unfortunate, but Pepsi quickly moving in to recapture, while of course Baoliang is busy capturing. Pioneers getting caught here by an infantry section. Infantry moving up as close as possible to get off some good shots on the Pioneers. Will Pepsi, there we go, retreating them. Grenadiers on the way. Brenke rather realizing he can't do much. The half-track is in cover behind the bunkers and the building.
Our forward supply lines are broken.
And of course there might be some Pioneers who could risk getting gunned down. First real infantry squad though on the way for Gopepsilive. Brenker moving up, engaging another Pioneer squad, and there we go, lots of machine gun fire, taking the Pioneers away. Another taking up position here to fire down on the recce section from this nearby building. Nicely done. Well, they won't do much, and certainly won't stop it, but certainly also provides a bit of line of sight. So there we go, first Pioneer squad ready, going to function in conjunction with the half-track, providing machine gun fire, of course, some reinforcement support. Another Grenadier squad on the way, Panzerschreck on the way, just in case, of course, of the Brenker, but also any Stuart light tanks that might initially arrive, although so far, no support trucks busy taking territory. And there we go, also Lieutenant. There we go, the Panzerschreck is ready, half-track leads the way. Grenadiers might want to keep up. They could even sort of, be in the half-track and then sort of pop up out of it whenever needed, thus ensuring, in fact, a much more fast and reactive force rather than having the Grenadiers sort of tag along. Grenadiers getting engaged, losing one man. Half-track moving up here to deal with another infantry section. Even the Grenadiers a bit behind. Another squad moving up to support the first one. Pioneers also there. Slightly unfortunate for Gopepsilive, but there we go, infantry section suppressed. Grenadiers in the woods, engaging in the infantry sections, firing away. One Brit down, Tommy dead. Brenker then moves out, third squad of Grenadiers ready, and infantry section pushed away from there. Might want to reinforce those Grenadiers by the half track. Going for the cutoff point again, lots of harassment, lots of movement for the cutoff point. In fact, also note, Pepsi's rather close to Baoliang's headquarters right here. Rather brazen, and of course also part of the plan sort of keep Baoliang under pressure at all times. Grenadiers, of course, could now move up to support here. Bren guns still ready, and the Vickers. Of course, Bren carrier. Grenadiers advancing, but they are coming under severe and heavy machine gun fire. Already one Grenadier down. The squad there has taken heavy damage and some casualties, but now the half-track charges in. Thus, and lots of grenades. Sadly, that does not do much. That's a waste of 50 munitions right there. Otherwise, could have worked, but sadly, it did not. Pioneers getting engaged by an infantry section moving in, trying to save the territory. And the Vickers, of course, also arriving for a bit of fun. And a pack on the way for Gopepsilive. Field support truck up, but it's getting denied from setting up shop because the Pioneers are taking in the point. So double advantage right there on the harassment bit. That's definitely going to have to be a nuisance for Baoliang, who's again barely got any territory. He's still got the 2 munitions right here, but he's barely got anything else at the moment. Of course, question is, will this infantry section also get upgraded with Brens or rifle grenades, possibly? Field support truck forced to seek greener pastures elsewhere. Oh dear, button down, and we could be seeing armor-piercing rounds up for the Vickers. And there we go, half-track getting torn to bits like a Swiss cheese, getting gunned at. He's still not reinforcing near the half-track though. That's a bit of a shame for Pepsi. Otherwise, I mean, he could have gotten a bit more. And there we go, the heavy machine gun fire. In fact, suppresses some of the nearby Grenadiers. One squad definitely also needs to get out of there. Down to 2 men, down to 1 man. Bren gunners definitely doing their work, holding up behind the wreckage of the half-track. Another half-track, in fact, on the way. Panzerschrecks flying through the air. And the Grenadiers just keep fighting, 1 man down. Lots and lots of Bren fire. Lieutenant nearby, flanking in a bit with his Sten gun, though not the most heavy damage still. Grenadiers need to retrieve the Pioneer. He has been forgotten and could be seen off by the recce section. Second half-track ready. Kampfkraft sent up. About time. Veteranry up for the infantry. Good, good. Pack also ready in a waiting position just in case of some Brens charging in or a Stuart light tank on the way. So far, though, no sign of that. Pack sneaking in. Grenadiers reinforcing near the half-track. Not waiting at base. And there we go. Bren gunners caught out in the open. Half-track doing some nasty stuff right there. And more Panzerschrecks. Pepsi's not taking any chances. He's got the majority of the map at the moment. Casualty station down. And it is advancing up behind the wreckage of the old one. Pack opens up. In fact, the casualty station was a bit too forward, rather exposed, and will be going down. Must be a bit of a nuisance right there. And he's in fact got 4 infantry sections now. Bren gun also went down. Lots of grenades right behind the car, but there we go. Counter-attack by the British. The Grenadiers are taking heavy losses. Lots and lots of fire. So can the Grenadiers muster with the half-track, mounted with machine guns. Grenadiers reinforcing. Veterans 2 on the way, and there we go. In fact, we are seeing the retreat as the half-track manages to suppress the British troops, but sappers are moving in with the Piats. They have spotted a target, and the target is the half-track. Does manage to get away, and the Grenadiers also pull away.
Ready for action.
And again, Baoliang running his nasty little mind games again, trying to sort of put on some pressure, trying to be a nuisance, and again trying to that way stress out Pepsi. Of course, Pepsi being a skilled player, of course, is not really going to be bothered by that in a sense that will actually affect his game. Of course, he'll probably find it annoying, but that's about it. But there we go, pushing ahead. 2 lieutenants up again. He's blobbing up now. And he's still holding up. Veteran 2 definitely helps again. It's all of this, but still there's also an awful lot of British infantry overall. Half-track machine gun fire. Grenadiers with Patriot and Kar 98Ks. Sappers a bit with the backs to the river. And run off. A medic bunker could be a nice move for Pepsi to sort of recover his wounded. Would definitely help, I think. Pioneers once more pushing up here. Again, very nice harassment movements by Pepsi. While Baoliang is occupied in one place, he moves in the other. But already both lieutenants are veterans in 1. Grenadiers moving up. But again, now they are out in the open, so the Bren gun does a lot more damage. Oh, grenades again. Pepsi dual grenading, and getting 2 at the same time, sending 1 in fact on a very high flight. So far 1 sapper section, another casualty station up. This one a bit more well placed. 3 lieutenants. He's definitely again lining up for a blob, and some nasty lieutenant bonus stacking. No stew. Again, could be that Pepsi's running his own mind game, which is basically don't go for what his opponent's expecting, which again is blitzkrieg. Could be that he goes defensive or terror, although terror I think would be better if that was the case. Which of course could mean some other things, and of course basically keeping Baoliang guessing and a bit confused. He's that way in fact going to ensure that Baoliang is himself caught a bit on the off guard and can't really play the sort of usual games he's used to. Which again can be just as important. Oh, there it is. No, it isn't. But again, he seems to be convinced again that Pepsi is going for blitzkrieg, which could make him make a few mistakes in that direction if Pepsi is lucky. But pushing forwards, coming a bit under fire. Huge blob, not a lot to stop it as such at the moment. Escaping over here, observation post right there. Whatever could this mean? Grenade against on the Brits, doing a bit of damage but not an awful lot. From the other side of the river, the Grenadiers capture sight of the Brits. Heroic charge, not entirely sure why he goes for that right there, but the Grenadiers actually being exposed to quite a bit of fire. And interesting enough, there's not a lot of weapon upgrades for the infantry. Some of the other sections could do with more brain guns or rifle grenades. Grenadiers forced to retreat. One Grenadier squad holding out, supported by the half-track machine gun. A mortar would in fact be quite nice here. Another Grenadier down and a grenade across the river. Ooh, getting 1 Brit. But that's about it. Troops reinforcing, points are being retaken. No captain, just several lieutenants, including 1 veteran G2 at the moment. How nice. Small pioneer force moving up, but quickly realizes something is afoot, and it's not good. Pack still waiting so far, no real presence of armor from Baoliang. In fact, now going for the captain. So he's definitely again not on a rush to get any stewards up. But of course, he could now decide to get some armor to sort of help nail in the coffin against Pepsi. Half-track moving back to base. Could do with a bit of veterancy, he already doesn't have that. And we're actually seeing a Panzer Command going up for Pepsi. Interesting. And still a bit of issue with Fraps. And Pepsi being slightly forced back now by the presence of the 7th Armour and his horde of infantry. Though Pepsi's pulling up his own. Panzer Command going up. So of course there will be some sort of panzer forces being arrayed against Baoliang. Pioneers in the west flank, though they could run into a rather nasty British flavoured surprise. Pioneers pushing up there. Deer not necessarily the best advance. 2 Bren squads, and just note the damage. In fact, a grenade threat actually forces away this entire force. That's a bit surprising, but the Pioneers instead get it, and our squad is already down again. Note the Bren gun is a nasty thing. Also has some nasty bonuses, for, or at least works quite well against retreating troops as well. So do be careful when facing Bren sections overall. Grenadiers are going to need reinforcement. Baoliang doing what he can to regain lost territory.
CP6 ready for your message.
Captain being rebuilt, apparently did not finish him for some reason. And mighty Iron Roman, apparently thinking he's being awfully clever. Well, I think that is not the case. Swift move in by the half-track on its own, quickly sends off a infantry section back. Baoliang making an advance, no real emplacement for him so far, though I'm sure he's sort of trying to figure out what is Pepsi up to. What could that damn Hun be doing? And again, Pepsi advances, but this time he does retreat a bit more quickly. And here down, he could perhaps, advance one squad into here to sort of fight some overwatch. Perhaps in with an LMG, he could have done alright against this vast British horde. And back to the action, hopefully with a slightly more stable Fraps now that it has been given a break and whatnot. Pepsi though holding on to the flanks of the 1st SS soldiers on. Now with some Flak Panzer in support. The Ostwind Flak Panzer, which only really served in the last few months, basically came about in 1945. I mean, the Wirbelwind got a bit earlier, possibly even close to Normandy, but not quite. Otherwise, it would have been the Möbelwagen, or basically half-tracks, or the Flak Panzer Gepard. That would have been sort of the real sort of mobile AA for the Germans. Pioneers squad here in slight trouble, surrounded by Brits, hunting it down. Of course, now with the Flak Panzer, the British infantry might have something to fear, and largely, I mean, besides that one sapper squad, 2 sapper squads with P8s, there's nothing really can stop. And now he's apparently trying to sort of dig out Pepsi. Pepsi, of course, in a slightly more defensive posture, but still pushing it forward. Now going for a howitzer. Saber's forced away. Ostwind at a reasonable, comfortable distance, using, of course, it more of a support weapon, which is rather it is, since it has lower armor and, of course, lower health than, say, a Panzer IV, which is actually something some people seem to forget. So in some sense, it's like an M10, except where the M10 is good against armor, this is good against infantry, but just like the M10 is not necessarily the best against infantry, this is not necessarily the best against armor. Fun little distinctions there. And looks like we are seeing the Stukas of Fuss arriving probably from the Panzer Pionier Battalion, since, well, these types of hard tracks were basically used by the Pioneers in their heavy companies for the Panzer divisions. I believe also some of the Panzer Brigade actually had them, but I mean, otherwise it's actually not something you hear so much about, but these half-tracks were basically, Pioneer weapons for the Panzer divisions, possibly even the Panzer Grenadier divisions. I don't know fully on about that. Still, fun little fact. Grenadiers still marching in on the captain. No idea if this will actually make a returning company who is 2, but considering there's a Panzerwerfer, I don't think so. Which of course begs the question, what will then be the upgrades for the half-track? Apparently the flamethrower upgrade is back, so hopefully they make the flamethrower a bit more useful.
It's a good spot for Armored HQ.
But I hope perhaps some sort of Pack 40 upgrade or the anti-aircraft upgrade. Let us return to Gopepsilive. He's got quite a few resources going for another Ostwind. He's apparently not worried about it, against considering all the resources invested into the infantry. I can understand it. There's no impending threat of armor going to be hammering into him right away, although we do see the armor command track is up. But of course, Pepsi doesn't know. Recce section getting a nasty surprise. Ostwind moves in as well. Recce section quickly moved in. Grenadiers score a bit out in the open though, but there's only basically the officers. And in fact, and there we go, Baoliang quickly retreating most of his forces back. The 7th Armoured rushes back to protect its headquarters, calling in artillery using the captain. Again, a very rare usage. I mean, most people don't use their officers like that, but in this case, he actually calls in artillery with his officer. Thus, his captain thus ensuring the Harwich can actually fire twice within the same cooldown period, which is not something most people actually seem to do and use. Rocket barrage returning, killing one Brit, but that's about it. Still a nice move right there.
The enemy advances.
25 pounder gun, pretty much the standard artillery piece for the British throughout the war. The 25 pounder designation basically being what this, well, the weight of the shell it actually launches, whereas most other sort of figures on the caliber, the Brits were all about the weight of the artillery shell being sent this way. Recce section, oh no, Brent section actually buttoning it down. Piet Sappers could be moving in. Will there be another Flak Panzer to try and save it? Flak Panzer to the rescue to save the other Flak Panzer. And he's actually gone terror. He can even call in a fire somebody. He's actually using all the munitions so far on the rockets. Sappers getting hammered a bit. And Brent section's moving in. Oh dear. Buttoning it up. Could be certain rockets. No, Grenadiers actually moving up, using the fact that Baoliang is actually occupied with his Flak Panzers to perhaps make another rush at the base. And no, actually the Flak Panzers are doing some nasty damage. One getting repaired while the other's getting pelted with Piats. And the Sappers are taking some nasty losses before being fully retreated. In the meanwhile, the Grenadiers are pushing in. Might be going for the 25 pounder gun. Will they succeed? Oh! Bren section went down. They absolutely turned him into mush. And rockets going in as the Sappers retreat, killing a few. Artillery going in, awfully close, killing 2 Grenadiers. Piat dropped at Firestorm. Oh, cheeky Pepsi. Oh, that one did not so much damage still. Not a bad move. Pioneer spotted by the Bren section, or what remains of it. 3 lads left. A casualty station more could be an idea for Pepsi to quickly recover wounded. Since now Pepsi has recovered. Oh, Baoliang actually, not Pepsi, but Pepsi's actually regaining ground. He's pushing onwards. He's got the upper hand now with the Ostwinds, although again he might want to prepare for some actual armor going in. And Cromwell command tank is up. We'll be seeing regular Cromwells or Fireflies out of the way. These Ostwinds will be in trouble. And the fact that he actually uses the Cromwell command tank definitely also shows he's got some plans with the armor. Because most players do have a nasty habit of the star count, but again, star count doesn't give bonuses to your armor. Cromwell command tank, on the other hand, it does. And we're talking increased rate of fire, which can be really nasty once, say, a Cromwell suddenly unleashes a much larger hail of fire against your infantry. Oh, Lieutenant on the run. Barely makes it out of there, very close. Another casualty station up. That is the 3rd one, in fact, I believe. 25 pound again, getting ready. Pardons. Officers holding the line of rather courageous acts. They might be a bit futile. And there we go, the captain once more calling in the artillery. Again, a nice usage right there by Baoliang. Rockets though going in return.
Track, over.
Still only 1 half track. Oh, hits the officers. Doesn't kill though. And there we go, the Cromwell moves ahead. There's not really much to stop it. The pack though is rushing forwards, but will it be enough? Cromwell doing what it can to disable the Flak Panzers, the anti-aircraft armor. And there we go. He did spot the pack, though. Perhaps he was a bit too slow to actually cover it up before he arrived. This could result in a 25-pounder counter barrage to knock it out, which would not be huge surprise. And there we go, actually moving up his command tank to ensure that the Cromwell fires faster. And oh, Pioneers went down. That was a tragedy. Iron Roman continues to be a daft bugger. Definitely a bit of a nasty position right there for Gopepsilive. Again, the artillery is going to be a problem. Pioneers, in the meanwhile, though, have advanced up most heroically right here. Perhaps some mines could be a nice idea, or tank traps, or barbed wire, something. Looks like a captain is moving in, though he might find himself very quickly outgunned. Grenadiers lining up again for the left flank assault. While he's getting more anti-tank guns and more half-tracks. Cromwell advancing, taking a nasty barrage though from the 2 anti-tank guns. Osman moves up on the flank, though takes fire from the Cromwell. Brits moving up here on the west as well. A rather nice split of infantry and armor, though no cooperation between the two. Then again, Pepsi's armor is a bit less lacking when it comes to dealing with British armor. The Grenadiers are advancing a bit out in the open. Elite armor will help a bit, but I mean, usually do prefer actually having cover, as I mean, there are several Bren guns tearing through the Grenadiers. That's an awful lot of light machine gun fire, and there we go. The Grenadier squads are pushed away. First SS assault failed, and the first SS was formed out of the bodyguard unit of the Führer. In fact, several bodyguard units were sort of reformed and then later turned into basically a combat unit. You had the first the Leibstandarte, then there was the Führer Begleitbrigade, which fought in, I believe amongst other places, the Ardennes, and there was also the Führer Grenadier Brigade, which was formed out of the Großdeutschland unit and was actually fought also in the Ardennes. Probably it's the only part of the Großdeutschland. Oh, Pioneer squad went down though again. Bren guns are nasty. Very, very nasty indeed. Pioneers, oh, 2 Pioneer squads down. Lacking population. Iron Roman continues to be a twerp. Oh, sappers repairing. Oh, that was a bit of a miss right there. Does manage to get a few kills as they are a bit of a nasty position. Nice raid by the Austrian, but it is forced away. More rockets against the British base just as the sappers are retreating. A bit too late though. A bit too early in fact. Premature rocket barrage, and there we go. British counter-artillery barrage stopping the German Grenadier assault. Unfortunate. And we are in fact seeing a creeping barrage, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, another Pioneer squad absolutely shattered. That's 3 squads of Pioneers absolutely vanished. And that looks to be the end of the storm. Although new rocket half-track moves, well, another half-track moves up, ready to be equipped with rockets. Sappers getting blasted. And run off. Pack moving up on the flank, interesting. Going here for the victory point. And veteranry up for the vehicles. Which of course for the half-tracks means less cooldown. And of course also damage reduction for the first level. Second level actually gives them a damage bonus. That's an awful lot of rockets at the same spot. Interesting. This one flew a bit too far, and I suspect... Oh, counter battery artillery against the half-tracks. Oh, close to hit. One half-track now had trouble getting away. Oh dear. Mess up. Looks like the half-tracks will escape, although not without a few scratches. Damn close. Packs advancing, Grenadiers advancing. Ostwind's keeping things covered against the armoured advances of Baoliang. Oh wait, we might be seeing a Firefly. Actually, that could help against... No. Looks like I misread the situation. In fact, looked wrong. My apologies. Cromwell's getting hammered by the pack sneaking up there. In the meanwhile, the Grenadiers are moving in to deal with the reconnaissance troops. No LMGs, although again he's probably saving all his munitions for other things, but he's feeling a bit of manpower. Lieutenant run off.
Heftrack, over.
More rockets. How fun. Although they are damaged now, and they've got Veteran D2. Giving them actually a damage bonus, which is actually going to be a huge problem for Baoliang. In fact, let's go look at Baoliang again. Grenadiers here caught a bit. Lots of Bren gunners still out in the open. Both lieutenants are there. No, not the third one though. And there go the Grenadiers are running away.
Supply lines are being
And there we go, Baoliang retreating as well. Quiet. And he's actually floating an awful lot of resources as well. Of course, he's gone, oh, Canadian infantry, but why is he floating that many resources? He could easily get some armor and then push forwards. Is he saving up for priests? I'm not sure. Another creeping barrage though, but definitely not good to float resources like that. Ostwind caught in the barrage. Oh dear, Ostwind packed down. Creeping barrages, I mean, are really nasty, but it's actually pretty rare you see sort of lower level players using. It's mostly the more highly experienced ones who then use them with pretty devastating effect. Sadly though, he's not quite following up what would usually be the prescribed part of the creeping barrage, which is you follow up the barrage as it falls in. He's a bit too slow there, and sadly he's not able to really pick up the pack right there, which again could be used against the German panzers. But it's not happening. Baoliang sadly is a bit too slow. But he is getting the Fireflies now. Good. He could also consider perhaps getting some emplacement if he doesn't feel like using resources on troops or armor. Rockets going in there. Again, sadly, he did not follow up on the creeping barrage. Again, could have met the pack. The turn against the Hun. The Bosch. Which was what the French caught. And there we go. Veterans free up. And note, it actually gives the pack a small damage bonus. Not what you actually notice there. And there we go. Cromwell down. But artillery. Officer artillery gets the pack. No. But that wasn't been for. Oh, never mind. Pack decrewed. In fact, Pepsi is without any anti-tank guns. Now he's down to basically Panzerschrecks. More rockets. Oh, savaging the sappers. Still a Cromwell down. And there we go. We can see the priest being called in. Pepsi, though, needs some armor. I would actually recommend just a Panther. I think could do the trick. Firefly, though, advancing a bit too quickly. Apparently sensing glory. And, ooh, another pack up from Pepsi. Main gun destroyed. Shite is reported by the Firefly commander. Out of control. And another minor assault by the Grenadiers on the western flank. Getting the casualty station again. Artillery going in on the Grenadiers. Grenadiers still standing, not retreating. And things quiet down a bit again. Then now the priest roars out a rather angry hymn, directed straight against the base of Pepsi and the 1st SS, hitting the Krieg barracks, hitting the Grenadiers. Oh, blimey, 4 in fact, not Phi, but 4. Phi, of course, being an imaginary number, for those that care about that, not me, for example. And another Ostwind. I think at least one Panzer IV might do the trick, you know, also to help with the Cromwells. Mine's now going down for Baoliang, of course, worrying against, now finally protecting his base against any direct assault. He might want to consider that earlier on. He could also perhaps consider secured resourcing to actually get more resources out of things. You know, I mean, he's actually got the resources. What he could use is to actually get a lot more munitions out of the points. But for some reason it's not happening. Sappers, artillery against it, half-tracks. Pepsi got a bit too reckless right there, advancing his half-tracks a bit too far. One is down, and they did not do a lot of damage to the 25-pounder gun. Another Grenadier squad advances. Panzerschrecks in hand. Bren guns in the British hands, though. And a V1 rocket can be heard, but can Baoliang hear it? He's actually moving, but will it be fast enough? Oh dear, he did get a veterancy 3 lieutenant, but he lost all of his other officers in that fight, I think. Plus some other troops got absolutely gutted. Definitely a victory for Pepsi there as well, since the truck got knocked out, and of course he was floating resource. Of course, he could quickly call in a new one, but definitely not good. We are seeing speed governors going up, so they can actually move fast and quickly rush in. Not bad. And of course, he could also consider again secured resourcing, but again, I think that's a bit too late. And strange he didn't go for it when he actually was floating resource again to sort of get more munitions, sort of help him with creeping barrages and what not, all mines for that matter. Certainly some of his more defensive measures have been forgotten a bit. Perhaps he got so caught up in having to be the aggressor that he sort of forgot. Pioneers though getting hammered by the Cromwell still. More artillery though, perhaps trying to block any German advances. Pack moving up there. Veterancy 3, Pack firing again. Destroyed engine. And there we go, retreating back to the headquarters. Another Cromwell down. 7th Armoured is quickly losing all of its armour. Down to a Firefly and a command tank. More rockets. All right at the victory points. Achieving a decent spread. Killing a few, but not a lot. And there we go. Baoliang charging in for King George and glory. Oh dear, he forgot about the Pack at the flank. And the Ostman's also moving in. But of course, the Firefly can't do anything. It has to move. And now the Pack opens up. Nice hit. Panzerschreck's also getting up. And there we go. Baoliang's infantry retreating. Firefly down. 7th Armoured is a bit crippled at this stage. And we're seeing a smoke barrage actually going down. That's the first time I'm actually seeing the creeping smoke barrage used by a British player. My goodness, actually provides protection against hits. They probably should move this one and probably move it to some better position, but sadly that did not happen or occur to Baoliang. Still saved his infantry, gave him time to recuperate. So I mean, not completely bad. I mean, it's essentially like you can in fact lay down a complete wall of smoke to protect you. And the infantry advanced right into another rocket barrage. Oh dear. So many good British men murdered due to Baoliang's angriness at Pepsi. And the priest definitely not equipped to survive hits from the Ostwind. Another Ostwind moving in. And now Baoliang is in fact quite vulnerable to him. A third one moves in. Clearly our British friend here is violently exposed. And this is definitely number Wang. So many numbers going up. And we might be seeing that flak panzer actually going down. Artillery going in still. 25-pounder guns still operational. Priest as well, although it did take a nasty bit of damage. More rockets, and now the Grenadiers push forwards. Oh, the header mine! 3 men down. Assault already a bit breaking up there. British infantry getting slaughtered as more rockets shatter their bones and bodies. But the Grenadiers fill up with one last assault. And direct artillery on the Grenadiers.
NCOs reporting they have destroyed
Grenadier
a
squad
German-
down.
NCOs reporting they have destroyed a German target.
And there we go. I'd say that is
Forward supply lines are broken.
largely GG for Baoliang. He has lost most of what he had. No officers. A few sections. Probably shell shocked from all the rockets. Turning to Pepsi, who's definitely holding a lot more cards on his hand. In fact, he could get a King Tiger now if he wanted to. You nearly lost us there. Again, the mind games trying, in this case, probably trying to sort of rob Pepsi of his victory, at least sort of make it feel cheap again. If he can't win one way, then at least try to ruin his opponent's victory again. Pretty much cheap mind games, which of course didn't really help him much against a sterling up player as Pepsi. So there you go, a pretty interesting fight. We saw some ways of defeating the British bloc with some slightly different methods than what you usually see, which is basically just lots of grenadiers, or rather more minimal amount of grenadiers. Half-tracks used, the rockets, Austrians, other things. The British blacks had some good chances, but he floated a bit too many resources at the wrong point. Did not secure resources with his trucks, for further bonuses, and did not lay down mines when, again, Pepsi was quite so insistent attacking up this way. I mean, mines could have really done a lot to sort of hurt Pepsi. But there you go. Do hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.